This week on Bruffy's Rugby Offload, we are recapping the weekend that was the Dubai Sevens. So stay tuned. We've got one of the coaches of the Harlequins ladies coming up, Hugo Weaver-Lever, and we are going to get straight into that. Let's go.
We go bold. Dragon spit fire, but we never fold. Exile squad grind like a shark in the deep. Hurricane storming, but we play for keeps. This is rugby in the desert, heat waves collide.
Okay, salam alaikum everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Bruffy's Rugby Offload. It's taken me to Wednesday to film this, just to recover from what Sevens was, and I was a good boy, so I can all imagine how many sore heads there were with the public holiday on Monday and Tuesday. So well done to everyone that competed. Look, it was a big weekend. There was a lot of rugby. It's a lot to try and keep up with. I tried to get around the grounds as much to see as many teams as I could. If I didn't see you, I apologise. There might have been another match on at the same time, but I spent 3 days wandering around like the last man on earth. I did enjoy I had a press pass, a media pass this time, so I got access to the fields, got access to the players. Thank you for everyone that allowed me to interview you. That was cool. I enjoyed making that little reel at the end. I also got to meet some pretty cool people. I chatted to Sean Maloney, who's the Australian commentator. He commentates a lot of the Australian rugby. Now, he is a big bopper of a man as well. But he's kind of one of my idols who I base a bit of commentary on. So it was really cool to meet him. I met Francois Hugard, I met Henry Spate, talked to Victor Vito, and a few others, as well as meeting Dan Coles and the boys from For the Love of Rugby. So that was pretty cool. Got to see that. Got to interview a few people. Now, I didn't put all the interviews up over the weekend. I was kind of rethinking what I was doing. On Friday, I spent time with FFP Sports and Grant, and we were doing some filming there, and then some live streaming with his channel. So that was pretty cool. On a Saturday, it was all about getting around the grounds and seeing as much rugby as I could. Sunday, just summing up. Now, the big games on Sunday, obviously the Golf League. Now, there were 2 teams in the final. Quins kind of cost themselves the night before, losing to Bahrain, and then Hurricanes on the trot. But fair credit to both those teams. They did what they had to do, and they got through to the final. So they had a big gap because I think they played late Saturday, and then their final wasn't until like 4 o'clock on the Sunday. It was on pitch 1, which is always really cool. And in fairness to the Hurricanes, they have the heebie-jeebies for Bahrain. Bahrain do not know how to beat them in a final at the moment. Hurricanes came out firing. Toby Oakley, who was captain of the day, Don Williams, their speed was really putting Bahrain under pressure. And obviously both of those guys have played a lot of U87s as well. So they just had that little bit more movement, a little bit more understanding of the game. I know Josh Petro for Bahrain was also really good. He probably just needs to look for that pass every so often. He does make a fast run, but a few times he got charged down, and the Bahrain just weren't able to recover off that. So the speed of the Hurricanes was really good. And I better shout out to Martin Manguiro. He actually missed the final because he got 2 yellow cards in the Quins game before that. So he wasn't actually allowed to play the final. But he's my boy, so I'll give him a shout out anyway. I think he's a great lad. So Hurricanes came through that. I know Bahrain scored at the end of the game to tighten up the scores, but it was quite a convincing win for the Hurricanes over Bahrain in that final. So that was cracking. A few of the others, I think Exiles won the Vets Cup, but with all the different competitions, it was hard to keep track of. I mostly focused on the 2 sides of the League Cup, so the women and the men. And before we get into the women, let's welcome our guest. So here we go. Right, who better to sit here and talk women's rugby in the UAE than 2 blokes who are formerly average at best players? So we've gone and brought in the man with the deepest voice in Abu Dhabi. He's a real estate mogul by day and Quins Ladies head coach by night. And he's the only guy to successfully transfer from player living with a coach to coach shacked up with a player. Hugo Lever, welcome to the Rugby Offload.
What an intro. My days. Hey, average at best is giving me a good rep there for a player.
All right, mate. We'll dive straight in. So this is your second year as the Quins Ladies head coach. Last season was a very successful season, apart from 2 blemishes. So let's talk about last season. You won everything there was to win except for?
Dubai Sevens and the 15s final.
Okay, so this season, we've turned that around already, haven't we?
Well, we've made amends on the 15s and the 7s. So, yeah, my days. What a goldfish memory that is. It's been a long weekend, Bruffy.
Yeah, that's why I waited till Wednesday to hit you up for the interview, just because I knew.
Yeah, just about woke up.
Post-7 celebrations. All right. We'll talk about the Hurricanes. They are the big enemy, but big competition for the Quins Ladies. They are the team that beat you in the final last year for the 15s. You got revenge on that. You played them in the Sevens first final in Sharjah, and they won that, but you won Dubai Sevens. What is it about that rivalry that makes these 2 teams the best?
Yeah, absolutely. No, Hurricanes are fantastic. I will just add that they were with Exiles last season, so just a little shout out to the Exiles I won't forget the Phoenix, who did push us in the semi this year. I'm sure we'll get to that. But man, Hurricanes are a hell of a team. Obviously got a very good coach in Benji. They were the team to beat for the last several years. I mean, Phoenix kept them honest, but they were the team. And we've had a great rivalry. Even though we won a lot last year with the Sevens, it was always close games. And I think there was a couple of games that came within 5 points. But they've got a hell of a team. They've got a lot of experience. Got a lot of UAE players. They just know how to play good rugby. So it's usually a bit of a good fight when we get to play in a game against Canes.
Okay. So last year we talked about you lost the Sevens and the 15s final. Was there a specific moment or the girls reacting to something to make that those big targets for this season?
Yeah, I mean, it was we did really well last year. We kind of built up to the Sevens, but I think we were still quite raw and inexperienced, and it all came crashing down on us in the moment. Sevens has that effect on people, but obviously, given the fact that we'd done so well last season, we obviously really wanted to try and pinpoint the Dubai Sevens, particularly in the 15s. I think we felt we did well. The final we lost was 10-7. There was the Canes had a very good team. They had players like Jess Weaver come in, who obviously helped out, and she was a bit of a difference maker, I'd say. But the 15s was definitely nice, and the best thing about 15s is it gives everyone a role. It gives you girls who are the prop forwards, everyone like that, a specific role where they can play rugby. But yeah, the Dubai Sevens was really the one that we wanted, even though nobody wants to admit it. And that just made it. It's once a year, so I mean, everybody wants to win the Dubai Sevens.
Once a year in front of a big crowd on pitch one. It is the one you wanted. Do you take any losses? Do you take personally, or how does that work?
Do you know it's we're all competitive, so definitely there is moments. I think it depends on the situation. When we lost the Chameleons last year in the Dubai Sevens, we were just pumped. They were the better team on the day, and you just got to take your hat off to a team like that. I think in round 1 the Phoenix beat us handily. Round 2 last year the Canes beat us handily in the run up. So that wasn't the final, but in the group stages. And in moments like that, you just got to accept the loss. Sometimes there are moments where maybe something doesn't quite go the way that you would expect, or maybe there's a decision here or there, but. And that maybe kind of gives you a little bit of a fire, a bit of a kick that you can use to get the players going for the next game, and just depends how you use it, I guess.
Yeah. Now, what are the big changes? Now you've this is your second year in the coaching team. What are the biggest changes you've noticed from being that player to being that coach?
Oh, just being a coach, mate. I mean, you coach me for a season. I think as a player, you think you know everything, but you don't know half of anything, and you don't know all the work going on behind the scenes. You don't know, the different challenges, the different conversations going into trainings, going into matches. There's a whole different world when you're coaching. And a whole different amount of challenges that you've got to face rather than just turning up on the day and trying to play, which you will well know.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go back to sevens for a second. Before we talk about the final, we will talk about the semi-final because Quins got through by the skin of their teeth in the end in
Oh
that
yeah,
game. They were down. They came back to score basically on the final siren of the game. I'll try not to mention Kira's kick for goal too much, where she covered along the ground to win it.
we've already covered that. We've already covered that.
But then to come back, I think Phoenix had a 3-on-1, and Maddie just managed to get her hand in the way and then run around everyone to score. What was that feeling like for you as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, well, to be perfectly honest, during the game, it wasn't um, one of the most stressed I've been as a coach. I mean, we had the team. We ended up 2 tries down, 10 points down, 2 yellow cards in the game. And Phoenix were fantastic. I mean, like they were really on it. And Holly turned up to play for Phoenix. She's a UAE player. She's been back from injury, but she just looked sharp. She was playing really, really well. And I turned around to the girls and I was like, girls, I've got no idea what the fuck to do at this point. So you better just do it now. And they did. And the prep ended up coming off. I mean, we scored our last moment try from a scrum set piece, which we've been working on, which executed perfectly. Obviously missed the kick to win it, and then won in golden time. So I mean, the girls really showed up, and especially under pressure, it's
Bit of relief there as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing more. There's no prouder moment as a coach than when you come away from a game like that when you've not only used things of practice but also the character of the girls to just get back into the game and pull through. I mean, every team has their challenges, but we had a couple of niggles there. We had a couple of players missing. Obviously, Maddie was hanging on by the skin of her teeth with her lungs and so on. So yeah, it just managed to pull through that one, and that was pretty much the game that. Yeah, that was the big game. That was the big game of the sevens for us this year.
Yeah, now that the final was against the Hurricanes. It was a much more convincing win. I know the Hurricanes scored a try right at the end there, but there's some fierce Quins defense stopping them for a long time as well. That stuff is what you really get proud of as a coach, isn't it? Like the heart they show in the deep, like an attacking try is a lovely thing. A set piece is beautiful. You had a part in it. But when the efforts and efforts and efforts keep going, you know the players are playing for you. That makes a real difference, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it you can't coach. I mean, like the attitude of some of the players like MP, Miranda, getting around the pitch and putting a body on the line. Chrissy, obviously Georgia, every game. Um, and then obviously to show up and do it is another thing. I will say Kane's had a bit of a diminished team because half their team are playing for another invitational team. So, and
Yeah.
they had 2 yellow cards for one of the players in the semi-final who missed out. So definitely wasn't the full Kane's team, but look, you play, and the girls showed up for the full tournament, especially the final.
I forgot to give a shout out to Kylie from the Phoenix. I think her back playing. Her baby's not even 3 months old yet, so she deserves a big shout out as well. Like
Oh,
that's
impressive.
some commitment to rugby.
Well, she's put the work in. That's the thing.
Oh yeah,
I'm
she
not.
definitely.
You'll be playing for. I will be playing 3 weeks after my missus giving birth. Never mind myself.
No, fair enough. All right, so we'll move on now. Let's talk about the state of women's rugby in the UAE. Where do you think the game is right now?
I mean, it's in a good place. I mean, there's a lot of players who are. Take the last few years. They went through the Asia qualifiers and got into the Asia series, which they managed to stay in and then improved on this year. So I mean, in that sense, it's done well. But there's definitely a lot that could be done. Um, there are from an Abu Dhabi perspective, I think there could be definitely improvements made. The access for Abu Dhabi players is very, very limited. You have to do a lot of traveling. There's not really any work for coming down to Abu Dhabi to try and improve or get girls involved in that UAE setup.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mixed bag in my opinion.
All right. So what are the strengths?
Strengths of the players. I mean, you've got some fantastic players who want to be there. Alex Cook, Amanda, Holly, Tara. You've got some players in Dubai who've given their years to the rugby, and they really want to see it do well. I guess the weakness will be those players are soon going to be leaving. They're at a point where they're probably going to be retiring soon, and where's the next step? I think sometimes you can get caught up in short-term wins for long-term gains, and that's probably the place where I would say could be improved the most. Among a couple of smaller things.
And I know you won't do it because you're their coach and other reasons, but Georgia and Maddie both deserve a big shout out for their parts in that that UAE team as well. They definitely carry the flag high, and I know you won't say it as much because you've got pretty good reasons, but they deserve that shout out as well. So what do we need to do to keep building on the women's game out here? And not just sevens, everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's easy to talk about the UAE, but I mean, ultimately, the game's developed from the club level. So it's how much support you can get through the clubs. I know that the Phoenix and the Canes have historically been the main fillers of the UAE team. They've driven women's rugby in the last few years. Exiles have obviously been a big part of that, but they've dropped off the cliff a little bit this year with whatever club issues are going through. But so it's great that we can kind of bring Abu Dhabi into the fold a little bit more. I would say just a little bit more. The UAE need to reach out to the clubs more, but the clubs also need to be pushing into the women's game more. So, it's great as volunteers. I know that the Canes, Phoenix have dedicated coaches for the women, and we obviously have dedicated volunteers, but the clubs really need to sort of look at that in terms of, I don't know what the history is, to be perfectly honest, from the club's point of view on the women's game. I know there's been a director of rugby, but if the women's game is going to improve, I think the UAE need to support a club-led sort of role in that area.
Yeah, and obviously the Quins have a really strong full 15s set up. They're the only club that really can field a guaranteed 15s team. I know the Hurricanes did it in the final, but they only had like 3 players on their bench or whatever. And when they got hurt, they were playing bare minimum players. They were joined up with Exiles at one stage. Phoenix were in and out. Sharks were in and out. For me, Dubai having one team isn't good enough. Whatever they have to do to get all those girls and put 2 teams in. I know people want to play for their club and stuff like that, but maybe it is about splitting off from the clubs and having an individual women's team. Especially in Dubai, Quins are all right because you've got the numbers, you've got the girls down there. But in Dubai, if everyone wants to play for their clubs because of the 7 side, but maybe for that 15s, they go, hey, here's a Falcons team. If you want to play 15s, come and join the Falcons. And we've got the Scorpions as well. So there's 2 teams in Dubai coming up because there's enough players, but they're all just bits and pieces everywhere. Maybe that's something we can fix as well.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one, and yeah, I didn't really talk about that, but there's different motivations of the players there. So if you're a player playing for Exiles and you've got to train with the Canes, you've got to. Well, that's probably a bad example, but if you're with the Sharjah team, for example, you've got to change your training ground, go to a different place. Maybe it's a new coach who doesn't know your name, who's coaching. There's a lot of challenges with the mixing of teams, and a lot of the teams can't field full 15.
Yes.
Maybe the Canes and Phoenix can at a push. But also it's also in terms of the league, we've played 7s for the whole time. And the 15s league was pretty much pushed to try and create a UAE team, the league, which never materialized, unfortunately, again, for another year. But I think there needs to be a kind of thought between, are we making this reasonable for the players? Because the players are the ones who have to buy into this and say yes to playing it. If if girls are having to change training grounds, but also it's going to be a 3 week thing where they're not getting actually going to get much game time, then obviously people might go, I'll just wait for the sevens.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something to make it accessible and fun for the ladies, really. Whether or not you do a couple of Dubai versus Abu Dhabi games, absolutely. Maybe you just make a couple of games which are a bit more fun, but maybe aren't trained for as seriously. Who
Yeah.
knows? But it's a
And
conversation, yeah.
I do get it with the trainings and stuff like that. That's why my theory is if it's not an individual club team, so it's, let's say, the UAE Falcons, because none of the girls are affiliated with the Falcons. It is almost sell it as like kind of almost rep footy. Hey, you're a prop. You want to play? Come and play for the Falcons. Like, because I feel like that could encourage girls of other sizes as well. Because sevens is not, and I know full well, sevens is not a big person's game. And if you're on a slightly bigger side as a girl, you might not be getting a run in the A team or something like that because you're not as fit as someone else. But hey, you're a hell of a good prop. You do your jobs really well. There's that kind of aspect as well. But that's I guess thought for another.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, no, it's great to see girls who are competent in certain positions. I mean, well, we've got like Claire McCarthy, who's a fantastic tighter prop. Put her in sevens, she's going to get left in the wind. But I mean, as a prop, what a fantastic player, and she's got all the skills to do it. So it actually involves a lot more players.
Yeah.
And exactly. The whole thing we love about rugby is any size gets a position on the pitch. Everybody's loved and included in the sport. And sevens is a little bit more of a brutal sport. It's changing a little. So 15s definitely has a place. Definitely be good to improve that side of the game.
Yeah, for sure. All right, now the next thing we're going to quickly go on, growing the game. Now I know that you guys at Quins, you've got a couple of the younger girls coming through. I think it's Willa and yet another one as well. I can't remember her name right now, but you've got a couple.
Dominique.
Dominique. And it's really good to see the youth being pushed into that top team and making a difference. Willa's had some standout moments, scoring some great tries out on that wing there. I keep calling her Whipper because she whips down the field. But it's really good seeing that those younger guys grow up. How can the UAE and rugby here harness some of those younger players to keep them, whether they stay around or not, but keep them in the fold?
The UAE, I mean, specifically the UAE. I mean, look, to be
All
straight,
clubs,
I've
all,
never.
yeah.
There's barely a UAE player. I've never really seen the UAE in Abu Dhabi. I don't really know, apart from Fila, who coaches the Maha team. So just to be present for one and see who is actually available to play.
Yeah.
In my time playing and coaching, I've never seen any of the top echelon of UAE coaches in the sport. So I mean, if you're going to actually grow the game, you've got to be present.
Yeah.
For one. I'm not being politically correct here, Bruffy, but I'm just want to be honest. It's the best thing about being a volunteer. I'm not on the payroll.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, it's there are great players around, and Willa's one of them. And we're actually going to be losing Willa and Dom in they come as a pair and they'll leave as a pair. They're going traveling for 6 months, but fantastic players. And if they were noticed and invited to the UAE setup and training, in Dubai, then maybe you've got a couple of players who can do that. In fact, I think again they did actually do that at one point, but the travel and the fun side of it wasn't that good, so they actually dropped out. It's about making it accessible and fun, and also just being there to see the players who are available, because there's some fantastic young girls coming through.
Absolutely, and giving those guys a chance to be playing and learning in that setup and things like that. That's how you grow. That's how you strengthen. Like if they're not ready to play for the UAE yet, that's fine. But if they're down there in camp, they're already learning. So when they do get their call up, they're ready, rather than just being like, "Hey, you're in this week."
Yeah, and it's something we're trying to do a lot more because so there's a player called Aria who plays for BSAC. She's 14 years old. She played for the under-18s in Dubai Sevens this year and stood out. What a fantastic player. Absolute prospect. She's going to be a great player if she keeps it up. And we're going to invite her down now to the ladies, not to play, but to at least train with the ladies, just because her skill level's at a point where she's that good. She can mix with the best, And hopefully in a few years' time, she'll be leading the under-18s through to maybe a UAE or Dubai Sevens final herself.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then if the UAE can kind of, if she gets qualified or whatever to play, maybe they can have her come out. I mean, they're sponsored by Emirates, so hopefully they can do something about getting flights around there
Well,
for some of these guys, and maybe bring them back for a bit of representative footy or camps or things like that. I know it is hard with training and the number of tournaments and stuff, but it might be worth looking at. All right. Let's get into a little bit more of the fun side. All right, you've got to answer quickly. No umming and ahhing here. Who on the Quins ladies would survive the longest on a desert island?
oof,
Yeah, that was an.
Georgia.
Georgia. Who wouldn't?
She's well prepared.
Who wouldn't last an hour?
Oh, Emma Fern.
um, who's most likely to show up late to training?
Oh, who does it every time? Clarice.
Clarice. All right.
30 minutes late, guaranteed.
Which player has improved the most this season?
Oh, that's hard. Katie or Sarah? Katie
Right.
Phillips or Sarah? Both for the bats. Really good players.
Yeah. One word to describe this year's Quins ladies.
Knackered.
Best outfit you saw at Sevens this year?
Oh, well, they all had the same one. But best outfit in general or the way
In general.
the way it
It
is?
doesn't
In
have to
general.
be your team.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm just going to have to go with the new budgie smugglers for the Quins there. So I'm going to go with Rich Hall.
All right. Worst hangover in the squad post Sevens. Who had it?
MP, 100%.
MP? Yeah.
3-day
And-
bang out, 3-day bender.
Who turned into an absolute festival weapon after the final?
MP, again, Miranda.
Good on her. All right, mate. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Appreciate you giving up the time, and thanks very much.
Hey, absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me, mate.
All right, cheers, bud.